Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're joining us today, you might be going through a really tough time. Imagine this. You've just inherited your parents' house, but there's a huge catch. You didn't inherit the paperwork. They never quite got around to setting up a living trust, there's no LLC, no clear legal structure. Literally nothing but a deed with their names on it and a house full of memories no one's sorted through yet. If you're sitting there right now holding those keys and wondering, what on earth do I do next? Well, This Explainer is built exactly for you. We're going to unpack exactly how the probate court process works, step by step, so you can navigate this whole complex maze with absolute confidence.
The house does not become yours the day your parent passes. It becomes yours once the court says so. I know, that sounds a little harsh, right? But it is a totally vital reality check. If you're in this exact situation, you've got to understand that you aren't just dealing with some quick administrative delay down at the county clerk's office. No, you're stepping into an entirely different legal realm than the one your friend with the trust-funded parents went through. You're entering probate. But hey, don't worry. Understanding this new reality is absolutely the very first step to taking back control of it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit the probate reality check, the 5 steps of probate, the general timeline, an LA County case study, and finally, how you can prepare while you wait.
Section 1. The probate reality check. Understanding the law.
So what exactly are we dealing with here? Let's start with the core definition. Probate is the formal court process that transfers a deceased person's assets to their heirs when there was no legal structure in place to do it automatically. Now that last part, absolutely crucial. This entire court system exists specifically for situations just like yours, where parents or relatives simply didn't set up trusts or automatic transfers. Because the property literally can't transfer itself, the court has to step in and oversee the whole transition. Now, your path through this legal landscape splits based on one single crucial document, a will. If they left a will, great. The court's job is just to validate it and officially appoint an executor to carry out those specific instructions. But what if there wasn't a will? Well, the legal term for that is dying intestate, and in this scenario, the court appoints an administrator. And here's the real kicker. That administrator has to distribute the estate strictly according to your state's intestate succession laws. This happens entirely regardless of what anyone's personal wishes might have been. The state's formula completely takes over. Moving right along to Section 2, the 5 steps of probate, the standard process. Keep in mind, every state runs things slightly differently, but what we're talking about today is the foundational skeleton of the process pretty much anywhere across the U.S. Here is how the whole journey chronologically unfolds. Step 1. Someone files a petition with the probate court in the county where the deceased lived. Step 2. The court actually schedules a hearing to officially appoint the executor or administrator. And depending on the court's backlog, you're usually waiting 4 to 10 long weeks just for this single hearing. Step 3. Once you're officially appointed, you have to notify heirs and known creditors. In most states, you even have to publish a notice in a local newspaper so unknown creditors can come forward. And they get a window, often stretched out over months, to file claims against the estate. Step 4. Every single asset has to be inventoried and officially appraised. We're talking bank accounts, vehicles, and of course, the house itself. And finally, Step 5. After all the debts, taxes, and expenses are paid out, the court reviews a final accounting and approves the distribution of whatever is left to the heirs.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that there's a pretty harsh line drawn in the sand when it comes to real estate. You might hear people talk about simplified affidavit processes for really small estates, or how jointly owned property can just bypass probate entirely. And sure, that's completely true for some assets. But a solely owned house? Yeah, that almost always guarantees you're buckling in for the full legal ride. Real estate is heavily regulated, and the court absolutely demands the full process to cleanly transfer that deed over to you.
All right, Section 3. The general timeline, managing expectations.
So the crucial point is really getting a handle on the time frame. For a totally straightforward estate with absolutely no disputes, you should honestly expect probate to run somewhere between 9 months and 2 full years from the day you file that initial petition to the final distribution. 9 to 24 months. And keep in mind, that's just for a simple estate. If you introduce complicating factors, missing heirs or a contested will, or an estate that heavily features real property, like a house, you're immediately pushing that timeline way toward the longer end of the spectrum. Not to mention, the current backlog of cases in your local county court matters way more than most people even realize.
Which brings us to Section 4, LA County Case Study, a local perspective.
Let's move on and see how this builds in the real world, zooming in on Los Angeles County specifically. In LA, you're filing at the Superior Court's Probate Division, mostly downtown at the Stanley Moss Courthouse. So day 1, you file your petition. It typically takes about 30 to 45 days just to get your initial hearing date on the calendar. But listen, here is a massive warning for you. LA uses this online probate notes system where court attorneys review your filings ahead of time. If you fail to fix the deficiencies they flag online before your hearing, boom, you get hit with a continuance that adds another 4 to 8 week delay right out of the gate. No joke. Once you finally get your official letters of administration, you have 4 months to complete your inventory and appraisal, and creditors generally get 4 months to file claims. Add the whole shebang up for an LA estate with real property, and most attorneys are going to quote you 14 to 22 months for final distribution.
And it's not just time, there's a strict financial reality just to get through the courthouse doors. In LA County, base filing fees range from $435 for smaller estates all the way up to $935 for estates over $2 million. But I really need to remind you, those are literally just the baseline court costs. On top of that, you're paying out of pocket for official death certificates, mandatory newspaper publication costs, and a probate referee fee to officially appraise the assets. It honestly adds up so quickly, and the estate has to bear all of these costs.
Finally, Section 5. Preparing now, while you wait.
Okay, we've talked plenty about the court's slow, methodical grind. Now we need to pivot to your immediate responsibility, and honestly, your biggest opportunity right now. Because while the court process does its thing, you're essentially trapped in this incredibly long stretch of uncertainty. Are you going to be a landlord, an owner in waiting, a seller? And you might not even know for sure just yet. But that uncertainty is exactly why having a system readied before your official letters are issued matters so incredibly much. The very second you're legally allowed to act on that property, whether that means finding a tenant, picking out a contractor for repairs, or officially putting it on the market, you need to already know what your game plan is. You absolutely do not want to be scrambling to figure things out from absolute zero when the clock is finally ticking in your favor.
But fortunately, you don't have to start from a completely blank page. The new Landlord Starter Kit is this fantastic, totally free resource built exactly for this waiting period. It gives you all the groundwork you need to start building your property management system right now, completely behind the scenes, so that you are 100% prepared for the day the court finally hands you legal control. It's truly the perfect way to take a frustrating wait and turn it into productive preparation.
So, I want to leave you with a little provocative thought to chew on today. You know the timeline now, you know all the steps, you know the wait that lies ahead, but the real question is this. When the judge finally bangs that gavel and hands you the keys, are you going to know what to do next? Don't let the waiting period paralyze you. Start building your system today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, I highly encourage you to check out the source material to dive even deeper into all of this.